This United States of America that many think is so great has gone through the valley of the shadow of death times without number. Is it not this United States of America that fought a war of independence? Is it not in this United States that you had a Boston Tea Party? Is it not this United States that had a civil war? Is it not this United States of America in 1963 that had a civil rights movement? Is it not this United States where George Floyd said, "I cannot breathe"? Is it not this United States? There is not a single nation on earth that does not go through trials and tribulations. Our Africa is going through trials and tribulation. But even as we talk about those trials and tribulations, I can assure you that there are good things that are happening in the continent of Africa. If you have the honor and privilege of traveling through that continent, I do, and I see beautiful things. You know, in 1994, and many of you know this story, an Afro-pessimist had written an obituary about Rwanda after the genocide. Today, if you walk in the streets of Kigali in Rwanda, the streets are as clean as they are here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And that is only 25 years. Many people may say many things about that administration, but they have demonstrated that when men and women are committed to an ideal, they are capable of changing their countries. So every time that you think that Africa is a lost cause, think about what the Rwandese did. A few years ago, many people thought that Tanzania could not function. You go to Dar es Salaam now, even if you doubt it, go to Dar es Salaam. Within 5 years of the presidency of Magufuli, you go and see the infrastructure that is there. And only 2 weeks ago, in fact, only 1 week ago, they have now ordered 32 electric engine trains from South Korea. Within 5 years, while it had been projected that Tanzania would become a middle-level economy in 2025, they achieved that 5 years ahead of time. It can be done. It can be done. You go to Namibia, in Windhoek, they may have their own problems, but you go and see that it can be done. Go to Botswana, it can be done. Go to Mauritius, it can be done. Go to Seychelles, it can be done. Go to Senegal, it can be done. In other words, there are things that are happening. Even in our own country, Kenya, we have our own problem that there are certain things that are happening which are positive. You cannot wish them away. Go to Uganda and you'll see a few things that are happening that ought to be celebrated. Even in the troubled Ethiopia, there are things that are happening that can be celebrated. And that is why I hold the view that in order to redefine the continent of Africa, we've got to understand that when you are looking at the life of any nation, never ever measure the life of a nation with your very short lifetime. You who are only capable of living at the very best at 400 years, how can you compare your life with a nation which will live for millions of years? You are just but a flash in the pan. You are here today and tomorrow we gather you to your fathers and mothers. So when you are talking about redefining Africa, think about Africa intergenerationally. I remember not so long ago, a year in fact, before President John Joseph Pombe Magufuli died, had the occasion to have a long conversation with him at the State House in Dar es Salaam. And we had the occasion to talk about Africa. And he asked me, half in jest and half seriously, what I had meant when during the Julius Kambarage Nyerere lecture at the University of Dar es Salaam, when I said Magufulification, he asked me, what did you exactly mean? And I told him, this is what I meant. I meant that when I observed your activities before I met you, I got this feeling that you had successfully identified what is wrong with Africa, and that included, among other things, that we must regain our self-esteem. We must begin to believe that we can do things. We must begin to believe that we must take care of our health system. We must begin to believe that we can build our roads, that we can produce things that feed us, that we can add value to our natural resources. And I was saying that to the extent that you are faithful to that agenda, you are a Magulified person. And I believe that that is achievable if the continent has men and women who believe that Africa is capable of resolving her problems. And when we say some of these things, we do not for one moment believe that Africa is going to be a silo that does not deal with the world. We are simply saying that if we want to deal with the world, we must be prepared, because history has demonstrated that fortune favors the vigilant. And I remember once again, in direct answer to your question, what it is that can be done. In the month of April, I had the privilege of having a long conversation with the President of Malawi, President Lazarus Makathi Chakwera. And I told the President, the reason why I requested to meet you is because of the funeral oration that you gave at the funeral of John Joseph Pombe Magufuli. Because when I read your oration, you captured the mood of the moment. You are able to understand that in order for Africa to grow, Africa needs a certain kind of leader, a leader or leaders who are selfless. And therefore I come here to Malawi to ask you to give meaning to the word that you spoke. And he asked me, how do you want me to give meaning to the word that you spoke? Said, give meaning by allowing our foundation to make Malawi the hub of innovation and invention, which can then be replicated across the continent of Africa. And he said, I give you that opportunity, and in the month of August, next month, I'll be meeting President Chakwera again to begin the process of creating an African hub for invention and innovation, which will then replicate across the continent of Africa.